Greek theater is a part of the celebration of the festival of Dionysus, a massive event treated as a competition performed in classical Athens. One of the categories of Greek theater is tragedy, which is often focused on dysfunctional families, people killing and getting killed, fulfillment of prophecies, and divine control over human weaknesses. An example of this is Oedipus Rex, a play written by one of Greece's great tragedians, Sophocles.
In this video, we will know the famous story of King Oedipus of Thebes, also known as Oedipus Tyrannus or Oedipus the King. He is an Athenian tragic hero introduced by Sophocles. With the aid of the theater analysis and commentaries of Aristotle's The Poetics, we shall discover the misfortunes he encountered and what makes him a tragic hero. We may wonder what's the art in such a tragic story, but we can't question the Greeks, for this masterpiece will always have a place in history.
According to Aristotle, tragedy has 6 main elements: thought, character, diction, thought, spectacle, and song, of which the first 2 are primary. The plot is the most important element of a tragedy. Tragedy is an imitation, not of men, but of action and life, of happiness and misery. Character determines men's qualities, but it is their action that makes them happy or wretched. The incidents and the plot are the end of the tragedy, and the end is the chief thing of all. Without action, there cannot be a tragedy. There may be one without character. The plot is the first principle, the soul of a tragedy. Character holds the second place. Aristotle says that number 1, the plot must be a complete whole, meaning it has a definite beginning, a middle, and an end. In Oedipus Rex, there is a prologue, which begins the drama and introduces the characters, situation, as well as the past background. The body is made up of episodes or actions, in 4 scenes divided by odes, which we will discuss later. The drama ends with an exodus, or exit, which is the resolution of the play. Number 2. The length of the play should be reasonable, such that the spectators can comprehend without difficulty both its separate parts and its overall unity. The whole of Oedipus Rex covers events that take place in the course of a single day. Number 3. The plot has a single central theme, in which all the elements are logically related to demonstrate the change in the protagonist's fortunes, with emphasis on the dramatic causation and probability of the events. All the events must be tied to this theme such that the removal of one event will ruin the whole storyline. The theme that drives the actions in Oedipus Rex is the persistence in finding the truth. All the actions in the play are about Oedipus's quest to find the truth, about the murder of Laius, about his origin, and about himself.
It is also important to note the issues of good and bad fortune of a tragic hero relative to his experience of recognition of anagnorisis and coincident with a reversal of situation or what we call peripeteia. According to Aristotle, the reversal of the situation is a change by which the action veers round to its opposite, while recognition is a change from ignorance to knowledge, and that the combination of these two will produce pity and or fear, which is what a tragedy represents. Recognition started when Oedipus knew the matters about the death of Laius and realized that he is familiar with the place where he was killed. a place where three roads meet in a land called Phocis. He then starts to fear what he does not know.
The worst for me, I may have just set myself under a dreadful curse without my knowledge.
The reversal of events happened toward the end of the play, with a small turning point and information that made Oedipus doubt, thus investigating more to find the truth about Laius' death and about himself. The final reversal is when the servant confirmed the truth about his birth, that he is in fact the son of Laius and Jocasta, and he realizes what crimes he is responsible for. That is him who cast the curse upon himself without knowing, for he is the true killer of Laius, the cause of the pestilence in Thebes. He killed his father, married his mother, and had children that are his brothers and sisters at the same time. How crazy is that? His life-altering decisions are symbolized by crossroads, as described.
The second element is character. Oedipus was described as a good and intelligent leader who became the ruler of Thebes after solving the riddle of the Sphinx. However, as misfortunes arose, he had unwittingly killed his father Laius, and had married and borne 4 children with his mother Jocasta. The question, what makes a Greek tragic hero, pops up as we tackle tragedy and its conventions. Our Greek tragic hero, as the title suggests, is Oedipus. For Aristotle, he exemplifies the characteristics of a tragic hero, whom he described as a man who is not eminently good and just, who is renowned and prosperous, and whose misfortune is brought about by some error or frailty. A character must be true to type, true to life, and consistent. In Oedipus Rex, Oedipus is true to type because, as mentioned before, a character must be someone renowned and prosperous. Both traits described Oedipus. He was a prince of Corinth and the king of Thebes. He is true to life because he is realistic. Although he is now considered a myth, he is an imitation of a real person, a person the audience can connect to and sympathize with. He makes decisions that an actual person would make. And he is consistent because he stays true to his character. His moves and decisions are what the audience might predict him to make based on what we know of him. He does not suddenly act out of character.
The tragic hero suffers from misfortunes triggered by hamartia, which is caused by hubris and leads to nemesis. The Poetics makes use of these terms to critique Oedipus as a tragic hero. Recognizing their differences allows us to understand them individually.
Hamartia. It is typically translated as a tragic flaw, actually closer in meaning to a mistake or an error, a failing rather than an innate flaw. This ultimately brings about the downfall of the tragic hero. It came from a term in archery, hamartia, that means you aim for the bull's eye but miss. The tragic hero possesses ideal qualities, but he must not be perfect. The story argues that we are bound to a fate that is beyond our control. Still, it is his own choices and actions that led himself to his own undoing. The line from the play, "Oedipus has led himself to his own undoing," exemplifies this characteristic. In Aristotle's understanding, all tragic heroes have a hamartia, but this is not inherent in their characters, for then the audience would lose respect for them and be unable to pity them. Likewise, if the hero's failing were entirely accidental and involuntary, the audience would not fear for the hero. However, Oedipus's basic flaw is his lack of knowledge about his own identity, that no amount of foresight or preemptive action could remedy. His hamartia are his unintended wrongdoings. The audience fears for Oedipus because nothing he does can change the tragedy's outcome.
On the other hand, hubris is the disregard of the limits preordained by the gods and the display of excessive pride, confidence, and arrogance.
You pray, but if you listen now to me, you'll get your wish.
So from that line, Oedipus displayed hubris when he dared compare himself to the gods, and when he attempted to escape or defy his fate and left Corinth. But by doing so, he ended up fulfilling the prophecy and sealed his fate. He allowed his arrogance to control his judgment and reign over his actions, and unwittingly killed his father during his travel. Oedipus, as a name itself, means swollen feet or knowledge of one's feet. His bound and pierced feet were undone, but it left a scar symbolizing his crippling fate.
The third is Nemesis, which is referred to as retribution, the inevitable payback or cosmic punishment for an act of hubris. Oedipus was so proud that he did not even shrink from defying prophecies of the gods, until he realized that the prophecy has already been fulfilled. Instead of remaining as the Prince of Corinth and happy with King Polybus and Queen Merope, his attempt to defy the prophecy led to Nemesis. He blinded himself and he was banished. You will notice the significant interplay of the three characteristics as representative of a great tragic hero.
Oh, the dark horror wrapped around me. This nameless visitor I can't resist, swept here by fair and fatal winds. Alas for me, and yet again, alas for me. The agony of stabbing brooches pierces me, the memory of aching shame.
We proceed to catharsis. As defined, catharsis is the process of releasing strong or pent-up emotions. In Oedipus Rex, the tragic hero struggled against his fate, which ultimately led to his own downfall. From a prince, he became a king, blinded himself, and was exiled.
An awful fate for the human eye to witness. An appalling sight, the worst I have ever seen. You, poor man, what madness came on you? What external force pounds on your life and springing further than the longest leap brought you this awful doom? Alas, alas, you unhappy man, I cannot look at you. I want to ask you many things. There is much I wish to learn. You fill me with such horror, yet there is so much I must see.
It is in these lines where we understand what Aristotle meant when he said that pity is aroused by unmerited misfortune, fear by the misfortune of a man like ourselves. The dramatic irony in the play is that the audience knows the truth while Oedipus doesn't. Oedipus' downfall evokes pity and fear and is fundamental to the audience's experience of catharsis. The false hopes and wishes, as prompted and guided by the chorus, finally collapse into the tragic purification of emotions, along with the tragic change in the characters.
The third element of the tragedy is song. Mentioned before was the presence of odes sung in between episodes. These odes are sung by the chorus, which consists of representative citizens of the society in which the drama was supposed to represent. In Oedipus, the chorus is composed of the Theban elders, and the chorus leader is Choragos. The choric songs intensify and analyze the developing dramatic situation, helping the audience to understand the drama more fully. The fourth element is spectacle. Spectacle is the visual display and performance of the actors. The fifth is diction. Diction is the expression of the meaning in words. And the last element is thought. Thought is the message of the play, which is free will versus fate.
Aristotle presented the elements of a tragic hero which Oedipus Rex by Sophocles possess. He once said that a man doesn't become a hero until he can see the root of his own downfall.
It is evident that Aristotle through his Poetics, has shown his admiration towards Sophocles' Oedipus Rex. We might even say that he is the true embodiment of a tragic hero. It is no wonder Aristotle used Oedipus as the model of a tragic hero.